East River Railroad. Why they didn't do G?
this. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to rumble?
Is my mic still off? No, it's not. All right, here we are. Rock and roll time.
We like rock and roll.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We got a few of them over here in the chat. We got Dave, Brian, Sparky. We got Tim and Andy over here on the panel. Hey, there, Bill. Yeah. Like that, Bill? I couldn't resist. But the New York twist at the end. Hey, Jerry. Yeah. Alrighty, well, I hadn't done any homework in a while. Yeah, it looks like my camera's frozen. No, there we go. I'll start moving. Alrighty, we're in May now. May 2nd. May 7. We're going to have to find scale build. And then the following week, on May the 15th, will be Joe's train room. We also got possibly another show coming in this month. Not sure about the date yet, but we're working on that. And also, this month has 5 Thursdays in it. And my contract says I can only do 4. Yeah. So Bill and I are going to be splitting the Thursday nights up. So he's going to come in and host next week. He's going to do every other week. Who you talking about, Jerry? It looks better on the TV screen. I hope it's me and not Sparky. Yeah, Sparky's in his countdown for, what's that, May 18th at Steamtown?
Yeah, I think that's what I heard, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got an event I'm going to on the 18th right here. About an hour and a half away from the house.
I'll have to see what I'm doing next Thursday on being here myself. I just got asked today if I wanted to go to training next week.
Huh? Yeah, Dwight just popped in. Yeah, Jerry said he can see everything now because he's got rid of cable, now streaming from laptop to big screen via HDMI cable.
That's the way to do it.
Oh, yeah. Computer, of course, I recommend getting rid of the HDMI cable and buying a Chromecast for $30, $35. No wires. Works just fine.
Well, some of your newer TVs has got Wi-Fi built into them, so you can cast it directly to your TV.
Yeah, some of them do. That's a little tricky. I like buying dubbed TVs. I want the best quality dubbed TV because I expect a TV to last 5, 6, 8 plus however many years I could get out of it. And whatever integrated software is on it is going to be so out of date in 2 or 3 years, and they rarely keep them up to date. So I want as dumb a TV as possible, and I'll plug a cheap device into the back of it.
Yeah. All right, so you went to the hobby shop while you was out of town, Andy?
Yeah, come back to Indianapolis. There's an okay hobby shop. They moved on me, but thankfully they were pretty close to where they were. So I showed up and doors were open and the place was empty and there was a bunch of flooring people in there ripping up floors. So my gut instinct was, yeah, all right, so I'm not getting anything today. But they just moved a couple miles. I needed a bunch of, I love my head-leg track, but I'm not narcissistic enough to headlay staging and all that stuff. So I needed a bunch more track for staging. I've already got a few tracks in and through the wall and quite a bit of it up on these shelves behind me. Got trains running on staging, and I've got all the shelving, all the framework to finish it all the way up till it connects to the layout on the other side. And now I've got enough track to get it all the way up there. With the light on this end, I do need to get an auto reverser.
You need to come up here and go to ABC.
Yeah, do they carry the Tam Valley stuff?
No, he doesn't have a lot of the DCC stuff, but the track and cork you'd be able to get pretty easily.
Yeah. I thought about running up there and getting some Code 100 because the shipping cost is higher than this. But I run into a heck of a deal, so I bought whatever he had. I bought him out of Flex because I bought 20 or 25 sticks of the stuff for $2 a stick. Atlas Code 100.
Yeah, so, I spent about $5 a stick.
Yeah, that's what he had on the stuff. This stuff was slightly dirty, but it's not cut on either side. It's full 36-inch strips of it, like it had been used on a layout, without having been cut or flexed. None of it is bent or, holding its form like it had been pinned down in a curve for years or anything. It's just slightly dirty. And for $2 a stick, and it's staging anyway, so...
Yeah.
I mean, it's not brass, so...
No, it's Atlas, Code 100, nickel silver, just like, like I said, it's...
Well, Bill went out and bought him a air compressor, and he's got a Badger spray gun on order.
Good deal. Which Badger is he getting? Bill, which one are you getting?
He didn't say.
Okay, because I've been thinking about... So I've got a little StarTAC. I've got 2 Badgers that I bought off from Miles when he was getting rid of a bunch of those he had, and I've got an Iwata gravity fed. Most of those are cheap. That Iwata's a little better, but Ralph's got a couple of these Badgers.
Thank you. Either this is a I-55 or a 155.
Okay. I think the ones I got off of Miles are like a 510 and a 520 or something like that. I wanted bottle fans to do some scenery work with, plus, but Ralph's got a couple Badgers. He's got one of them called a Rebel or a Rogue or something like that is just really, really spectacular looking brush. I mean, I really like the features of it.
Yeah, you say you got it on sale from Amazon.
You beat that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've said before, I'm not artistic. I'm an engineer. Painting and all that stuff is not my forte. And I was afraid of that airbrush for a while. Even after I bought one, I was afraid of it. The airbrush is my single favorite individual purchase or individual tool I bought. I've enjoyed it immensely.
Michael, Andy, we talked about signals last week. What do you know about Tomar Industries crossing signals? They're featured in May's Mall Railroader.
Yeah, I like Tomar stuff pretty good. Honestly, I like everybody's stuff that's making commercial signals pretty good. But all of them require a little modification. As long as you get the newest stuff that has, the small SMD LEDs. Tomar traditionally had these large, 2 or 3 millimeter LEDs that just are very artificial looking. And that's what comes with the Oregon Rail Supply too. Of course, you could use surface mounts or SMD LEDs with them as well. But the Tomars are normally built. You got to take them apart. So, as long as it has good looking LEDs, I like them. I think Tomar has about the best semaphores on the market, especially since they can be operated. So, at least of a U.S. prototype semaphore, that is.
Bill, any of the needles, it doesn't matter what brand airbrush, the needles bend very, very easily. Be sure and read the instruction manual on how to take it apart and put it back together. The way I do mine, I got the Pache. I took it apart first time, bent the needle on it. Yeah, but the way I do it, I take it apart, and when I go pull the needle out, I pull it out from the back, and like they say. But when I go to put it back together, I push it in from the front.
Really?
Yeah, I push it in from the front because mine feeds through the trigger.
Yeah, mine does too. The whole feet trigger comes. Well, water mine comes through like that too.
Yeah, so if you're not careful and that trigger's twisted a little bit and you nick it, that needle's gone.
Mine feeds the same way, but you can only put it in from the back.
Yeah.
I know. That's what I think mine is too. That way.
Well, mine, I can take the tip off. I can take the whole front end off of it, slide it in, leave it sticking out some to where I can thread the bushing on without bending the tip.
Well, mine's
and then I
cheap
push
generic
everything
one,
in. Huh?
It's got mine's a cheap generic airbrush, but it's got a little ball on the end of it there, so you can't on the needle. So you cannot thread it in the other way.
Yeah.
I don't go either way because you could twist the whole front end off mine and everything, but I never thought about putting it in from the front. It's so fragile up there. I don't touch the tip of the needle other than to go from the back to the front when I'm cleaning it. I don't touch the actual needle of the needle, the tip of it.
Oh, I take everything apart on mine, put it in the bowl, let it soak a little bit.
Yeah, I'll do that too.
Because you get dried paint up there in the front where the needle is. It opens and closes the orifice.
Yep.
You got to get all that out. Or when you go to spray next time, it'll start splattering on you.
Absolutely. I just won't touch the actual front of the needle. That makes me a little nervous.
Yeah, Dwight, what you need to do is have a bottle of alcohol or a little cup of alcohol and a Q-tip. Keep the Q-tip wet with alcohol. When you're spraying, stop every now and then and wipe out right there at the very end of the nozzle. That'll keep it from drying out on you. Yeah, they sound complicated, Sparky, but they're really not once you get into it.
No, listen, Spark, I am not at all artistic. I cannot draw a stick dude to save my life.
Yeah.
I did not think at all I'd be able to do it. That's why I bought one of those little single action jobs for Miles first. But I just didn't think I could do it. And one, it's not hard. And two, I find it useful on all kinds of things that, that are not really like high-end painting or anything. I haven't got into a lot of that yet. I weather with it. Paint scenery with it. All kinds of stuff.
Well, Dwight, I strongly suggest you do not coat the needle with a lubricant. Just clean it real good. And then while you're painting, just use a Q-tip with alcohol. Because that lube will get in your paint and there's no telling what's going to happen. It'll fish out, not dry right, won't stick. It'll cause you all
got that
kinds.
needle juice, though.
Huh?
That needle juice from like Iowata. Is that Badger that makes that?
Yeah, those are usually more of a flow enhancer is what they are.
Yeah, and I still think my tendency would be what you're saying, Johnny, is that I might put that stuff on it for when it's in storage, but I'd spray something through it first to clean it out probably before I put paint through it.
Yeah, there's no need of doing it any time because that's a highly polished piece of metal.
Yeah.
The key is cleaning it out. And one of the best things I got was those little $20, $25 little Iwata pots where you can just set it down there, just lay it to it, spray into it. That's a must-have in my mind.
CSX Rail Line, how you doing? Yeah, John's going to be out of commission for a little bit. He's got to have some surgery next week. Maybe I'll be able to get him some turnouts built.
Yeah, I can get a break for him to go over there and work on it over there. So.
No,
Yeah,
I build.
Never gets built if you can't set it to workbench for quite a while.
No, I build the turnout stuff here.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's getting old, having to take everything over there, bring it all back, and all that. So.
Oh yeah, forget that.
Yeah. Getting too old, getting too ornery.
Oh, are you telling us you weren't always this ornery?
Yeah. And the doctor's already told John he wasn't going to be doing anything for several weeks. So that means he won't be walking up and down steps. Guy going to do a hearing aid implant on his left ear.
Huh.
He's totally deaf there.
Yeah.
So his equilibrium's going to be off for a little while, probably.
Yep. Yeah, he's had a real bad infection there. They got to go in and work on the bone a little bit. And while they're there, they're going to go ahead and do the implant. Yeah, CSX said that the layout is down and we'll hopefully be able to make a remarkable rebuild ASAP. Don't get too fast on it. Big Bill will tell you it's good to take your time.
That's right. Maybe not 4 years like I have getting trains running, but you know, there's a balance here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. John, yeah, that operation is kind of a standard thing now. Actually, I know a couple of people. I didn't know they actually had those implants, but they did, and they said it worked really great. But I'd appreciate the thoughts. At least now I won't have to scream at him. Seems like every time I'm over, I'm on his left side, and that's his deaf side.
Andy, are we ever going to get rid of all this rain?
Not soon, it don't seem like.
Yeah, we got Yeah, I think that last video you did, Bill, you're pretty much done with the peninsula now, aren't you? Like you got all the ballast down and all that. All this rain been having, though, you might have to put a roof over O'Shea's grill so he can keep grilling every day. I got my camera turned off right now, Jerry. So I don't break one of our rules.
Yeah, I about did a while ago.
Hey, Possum. He just popped in. No comment, Bill. Yeah, Bill said Big Jack is smoking beef and serving cold soda. Jerry, let's just say I'm checking the draw on the smokestack of the steam engine.
We'll go with that.
Sure.
Checking how your smoke generator's performing.
Yeah, Bill says the junkyard's the best job on the SBK.
Why won't they feed them anything over? Well, I think there's lollipops on one side. That can't be that bad. Pasta company. Of course, I guess that's not cooked pasta, but
Yeah, all you gotta do is boil water.
it's a pretty seedy little railroad, though. It's got a lot of personality.
Yeah.
Of course, I suppose that part of the country has a lot of personality, so that makes a lot of sense. Speaking of that, I got to go to New York in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, John Daly just got in.
Okay.
Bill said it is very seedy.
Yeah. I mean, it's the 70s. A lot of places were probably seedy, but especially there. So.
And talk about seedy. Oh, hey, Ralph. How you doing?
CD, eh? Okay.
How about T and Ralph shows up?
Well, I mean, we were talking seedy and who pops in. Hey, Chris Coletropolis. Yeah, Dave BNSF says Chicago's that way too.
Sure. 70s.
Yeah.
Of course, it's probably pretty seedy still today. So, I mean, that's just the areas that railroads run.
Yeah, Jerry said, howdy, Ralph.
Howdy. Even Bill says hi, Ralph. Hey. Hey, how are you doing, eh? How you doing? He's in Brooklyn. He's modeling Brooklyn. So it's come on, buddy. Let's talk. Come on, we're gonna have a coffee and talk.
Yeah. Michael said, "Hello, fella Italian." Oh, well. Anyway, you know what that word is. It's twisted.
Okay,
my
so before I answer, where does he reside? Michael, where do you live?
Indiana now, I think.
In North America or in Italy? No, he doesn't want to talk to me.
Nah, Bill's taking up the line right now.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Suburbs of Philly. Oh, okay. So I can't say buongiorno because you're not in Italy right now. It's morning over there. What can I say?
Cool Tropolis says he thinks of Walkabout Carter when Ralph does his New York.
It's more like I think, hey, Vinny! Sorry for the noise in the background. I got the hockey game on. I'm a hockey nut.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to start up a video here in a minute anyway. Where I'm going to attempt
A hockey video?
No.
The one thing I can say, Michael, is both our teams are out of the playoffs. So, what can I say?
I read what Brian said. I'm sitting there going, Leafs. Y'all hadn't even got in the spring yet. The trees are not budding, but
No, they're
the hockey teams.
yeah, that's right. They're getting ready to go golfing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Michael just said the Sixers are playing my team. It's true. The Raptors are in the playoffs. Brian, you have to cheer for San Jose. Yeah. Dwight says, so much for model railroading talk.
Yeah.
So who has some questions then?
They are.
Well, if I can find my cursor, I've got a video. What I did last Saturday. All right, let's see if I can get screen share to work. Oh, that's the chat.
I have to tell Bill, the big boy has already been fired up and has already moved under its own steam from inside to outside. I watched that happen last night. Oh, look at that. I'm on the screen twice. Yes.
You're not supposed to be. Let me see if I can fix that.
You want to go full screen with your video. There you go. Oh, yeah. What's that, 7.5?
I think so.
Yeah, 7.25, 7.5. What else? Same thing.
This is something I don't know very much about.
I know a couple things about it. It's expensive was enough for me to not need a whole lot more. But
Yeah,
I
that
do
train,
love-
that train right there has got 9 cars he's pulling behind it. I was looking the other night, and you can figure almost $700 a car for those little cars.
well, they're like $250 for a pair of trucks or something. $250, $300. Maybe it's $200 a truck. I mean, they're outrageous.
I think it's $250 for a pair.
That makes sense. I looked at this, and there are ways to do it, like Miles has done. Doing a lot of building yourself, kit building and scratch building, and it's possible, but on any reasonable budget. I mean, I wouldn't even call that. I don't think there's a way to do it that it's not expensive.
He had the red light, then he got a green light, now he's got the red light again.
They don't seem to be stopping him though.
Nope. Plus he flipped the switch. You got one
Yeah.
steamer filling with water right there.
Yeah, Southern Green, good stuff. Can't go wrong with an off-crescent limited paint ski.
What does the maintenance facility look like at this place? What is the name of this place, by the way?
North Georgia Live Steamers.
Look at that, a whole thing of coolers.
No, that was seats.
Oh, pardon me.
It's Georgia, man. They can turn an igloo into about anything: luggage, a seat, a shelf for a TV.
Yeah, he was pulling 9 of those cars behind it. From what I kind of gathered, these guys, what they do is they actually, okay, end the show. Let's kill the screen share. They, what was it, April and May, they have open house on Saturday, and then they won't have another one until at the end of summer. But during that time, they have their own events, and they do actual operations too out there.
That's the way to do it.
So Dave, BNSF, N-Scale semi-retired semi-driver, is asking, what's the easiest method of weathering for a beginner? What materials would you suggest?
Go outside, get some dirt, and rub all over it.
Oh, you beat me to it.
I'll shut up.
If you go through our videos, I started a series of weathering, and the video shows a Norfolk Western container car as the video, and that's a good start. It's all you want to do is get some grime on the car.
Yeah, it's a covered hopper. It's an electrical covered hopper. I think.
That's it. Covered hopper.
No worries.
I explain it all in there, but basically what you want to do is just get some grime on the car, and it's done with some oils and some watercolor paste, which is called gouaches, Gouache. Gouache.
Michael's is a good place to get that online, isn't it?
I had to get back
If
to-
you buy from Michael's, make sure that you go online before you go to Michael's and get their whatever % off coupons, because I found in my experience, if I go to an art supply store, specific art supply store, I'll pay about $6 for a tube like this. This is the gouache. You go to Michael's, it's like $12, $13.
Yeah, it's 40% off coupon.
So at least get the coupon off. If you don't have an art supply store nearby and you have Michael's, make sure you use the coupon. Save a few bucks there. So the products that I use, I started out like everybody else. I went and I got all the cheap stuff, and I found I wasn't happy with the way the cheap stuff was working. So I moved up until I came across Winsor Newton paints, and they work beautifully. And I can rely on them to work the same way every time. Go to the dollar store and pick up some makeup sponges. You can get the wedges like this. I think is a package of 24 for $1. I use these like crazy.
Also, be
And what
careful. You got to read the package, Ralph. Because I did that. I went and picked them up, and I got home and found out the package I had aloe oil in the sponges.
Oh,
So read the package and make sure this doesn't have oil in the sponge.
well, these are straight out sponges. So,
Yeah.
and you can get them different shapes and sizes too. These are wedges, and what I do with this wedge is I take the end of it and I peel off the corners and the edges so that I don't have any sharp edges, so that when you put it down, it leaves a definite edge line. And you dab. You don't use it like a brush. You dab.
No,
I saw
it
that.
doesn't. It doesn't work that way, Michael. Aloe oil will not soften the boxcars.
I also have a series of 5 videos on Trainmasters TV, going back to, I think it was April 2014. Similar thing.
Yeah, your videos with us are in the playlist.
Yep. And I believe there's 5 of them.
5 or 6.
There might be 6.
Yeah. Okay. I think your contract got renewed, Ralph.
Contract for what?
Michael was asking, are you going to do your weathering show again? Big Bill said, yes, he will, Mike.
Well, there you go. Okay. Yes, he will.
So I guess your contract got renewed.
Yep. What was I going to say now? Eric was talking about using his airbrush to weather. I mean, knock down the shine. Exactly. If you don't want to do anything else, buy the dull coat in a bottle and mix it 50-50 with lacquer thinner, and use your airbrush and just put a light coat of dull coat on everything. Take off that toy-like shine, and it'll make a world of difference.
How you doing, Curtis? Huh? I don't understand this. Maybe you do, Andy. Curtis is going, Andy, guess 4 days is still in the few minutes.
Oh, yes. He was yesterday. I don't know about 4 days, or maybe he's there. Yeah, I was supposed to get back to you, Curtis. I could. I'll either, if you want to talk after the show, I'll give you a shout, or if you want me to call you tomorrow. I've been out of town until like 2 hours ago. I've been up to Indianapolis, so. Sorry, it was yesterday. I was supposed to call him back yesterday, but by the time I got to the hotel, traveling wears me out. So, and I still travel quite a bit. So.
It wears you out?
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
It tires me like it's like physical work or something. Used to, but we used to go out and chase trains and drive from Knoxville to Chattanooga and chase the train all the way back, or Knoxville to Cincinnati, chase the train all the way to Chattanooga. You'd be out 12, 14 hours on the road chasing the 611 or something. No big deal. That's fine. Used to drive to Albuquerque 22 hours straight overnight. No problem. I'm fine. Now a 5-hour road trip is, well, it's like putting an 8-hour day in. Or it's at least like putting a 5-hour day in.
I noticed a couple of things in the chat here. If you're going to do anything with oil products, do yourself a favor and don't use turpentine or terpenoid. And guys are going to tell you, I use it all the time, nothing happens. Well, there's going to be that one time where that stuff melts the plastic because it's man-made. To work with oils, the best thing is mineral spirits. And then Dave 944S, he's asking if I've ever tried Liquitex Matte Medium. No, I haven't. I found that Dull Coat for finishing, and I use Tamiya acrylics. Either the clear one, which is X22, I can't remember what the flat number is, or the semi-gloss. They have three: the shiny clear, then they have semi-gloss, and then they have a flat. And I like these because I can cut these with alcohol, rubbing alcohol. And when you cut it with rubbing alcohol, they go on so nice and smooth.
Yes, they do.
And that's with an airbrush.
But you're the one who convinced me about the whole thing. Like I said, I'm not artistic at all, but airbrushing is one of my favorite signal tools there are. And I am not an expert. I am far, far, far away from any of that. But with what little time and what little inspiration from the shows and sharing of information you've done, I already have quite a bit of confidence. While it's not spectacular and I'm not going to be showing anybody my work for a while, I'm not afraid to work on a car now. And it's my biggest thing for a guy who is not as confident as you are, Ralph, or others. The reason I love working with the gouaches or the oils is I've got all the time in the world to work with it, or I could just wipe it off.
Yep. Eric Vandiver, he uses Vallejo matte. I also use Vallejo matte, but I use the premium because I can get it in a larger bottle. I've had some experiences with that. I mean, if you're okay with it and you're not doing any masking after you put it on, it's probably fine. But if you're going to do some masking, be very, very careful, because the last few times I've used it, the masking tape pulled off the matte medium.
Really?
The Vallejo, yep. What was another one?
Don, you want the address for the panel here or for our nightly chat?
And to whoever was talking about the Liquitex matte medium, I have used that, not on freight cars, just as a scenery product. I think it's a good scenery product. I don't know about using it on a freight car.
So another little tip. I've heard all kinds of guys go out and say, well, I use pan pastels. I do all my weathering with pan pastels. I'm really happy with it. Well, that's okay. And if you're really happy with it, then you continue to use it, because I'm not going to discourage you from using it. But I will tell you from my experience, these things are chalk. They're not paint pigment. AIM products or Bragdon products, or what's that one Doc somebody?
Doc Brown and Monroe Models too. I just got some of the Monroe.
AIM is from Monroe Models. They're the distributor now. They own the rights to it. That's the AIM products. True paint pigment is not going to come off when you hit it with air. You'll notice when you use chalks, you have to go on heavy, because if you use an airbrush or a rattle can, you blow off half of what you got on there. When you use these products, it does not come off. You can wash it off before you fix it, but it does not come off when you apply air to it or an airbrush. The pan pastels were designed to use on canvas, on wood, and paper. And I use them on my structures where I don't have to worry about fingerprints or anything, because I'm not handling the building. Once it's in place, it's in place. And you don't have to fix it once it's on your structure. You can if you want, but you don't have to.
All right, Don, I just put the link in for the panel here.
Yeah, you could rub it right into the wood structures and use it as an entire coloring agent for wood, which you could do the same thing with the AIM powders by making a little paste out of alcohol and then painting it on. And then,
but you can't do that with the pan pastels. They won't mix with the liquids.
No, they won't. But I have used the pan pastel to completely color a wood structure. Now, I would not say you're going to get the same finish as painting it, but if you want a quite faded effect, you could use the pan pastels on wood. On wood.
I'm going to give you another cheap trick for doing on wood, and I think I mentioned this in your fine scale a way long time ago. Go out and get the Crayola markers that they have for kids, and you can use those markers on the wood, and then when you are finished coloring, you come back with a brush soaked in alcohol. And
the oil. The oil markers. See, Miles uses
water. They're watercolor. They're meant for kids. So if they get them on your furniture, you can wash it off.
Oh, okay.
So it's the Crayola ones for kids.
Yeah, real quick, I'll jump in here. Don, I just put the full link in the chat right there. So if you click on that, that should bring you straight into here with no trouble.
Your mileage may vary, but we generally get the best experience with Google Chrome.
Yeah, be sure and use Google Chrome. Because here is.
So Miles used the crayons, is what I was thinking of. The crayons that are like oil-based or something. Crayons, those were really interesting. And the colored pencils, I've got some of those colored pencils that are effectively an acrylic.
You want watercolor pencils.
Well, I'd like to get a hold of some of those too. I got some of the acrylics. Again, this is not weathering freight cars, but using on wood structures and stuff, the acrylics are nice for like coloring some of the bricks. When I want to do an odd brick, those acrylics, because I'm painting with acrylics for everything else, it's a real nice way to get different shades for various bricks.
You got any recommendations? Andy's on his phone, not a computer.
Okay, there's an app for a pier. Just go to the App Store, Google Play Store, or preferably the Apple Store if you're on an iPhone. I'll show my bias here toward iPhones, but there's an app for that. Just install the Appear app, open it up. It'll say Join Room. Just type you don't need any of the other stuff, the Appear. All you've got to do in this case is MRL. That's Mike Romeo Lima. hyphen or dash or whatever, MRL hyphen live. Lima, Indigo, Victor, Echo. And it'll pop you right in. Now, you'll probably want your little earbuds that come with your phone or headphone. Depends on your phone. Some phones work great, but if you've got a set of earphones for your phone, you'll get a lot better experience that way. So will we.
Dave BNSF says he's found some Tamiya weathering powders. Any experience with them? If they're, I haven't tried them. I had access to them, but because I have the AIM powders and the Bragdon powders, I really don't bother with others. These work just fine for me, and I've got all the earth tones, the rusts, the browns, white, black, yellow, fresh rust, old rust, in between rust. That's
Yeah. You need a bunch.
well, I'm doing weathering. It's all rust basically.
Yep.
But the Tamiya ones, I'm not sure about.
As long as they're a paint pigment, right? As long as it's chalk, shouldn't they probably be okay?
As long as they're paint pigment, but I looked at the Tamiya box or packaging, and a lot of it's in Japanese. It doesn't tell you whether it's paint pigment or chalk.
Okay.
And a lot of the Vallejo and Ammo powders are similar. They are a form of chalk.
Really?
Yeah.
With like oil added or whatever as a binder that they've added like the something.
No, nobody puts binders in anything. I don't know where that came from. There
Is
are
that
no
right?
binders in any. There's no binders in any powders.
Including the pan pastels? How are they get if it's just powder? It seems like there's something in there.
You
There's
put
filler.
something in there, it'll be all clumped up.
Well, I mean,
It's-
the pan pastels packed down into that little cell. I mean, it's just
Yeah, well, if you were put into that container under about 1,000 pounds of pressure, you'd be packed in there pretty good too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
And
I
I also
can
would not be very good for weathering in that case either.
I can show you what happens to the container if I can get it off. If you disturb it, you have a whole container of loose powder, which I
Really?
spent 2.5 hours to try and flatten back out again.
You dump it upside
Doesn't
down.
work.
Did
Doesn't work. It
like-
fell. It
So, like,
fell. And it
really
landed upside down.
Right down. Yeah.
Okay, Ralph. Well, I got a question. I don't know
Curtis is here.
I don't know where I saw this or read it, but they were talking about taking your favorite, either whether it's Tamiya, Vallejo, whatever, of the dull coat, and taking those pigments, like the pan pastels or whatever that you're trying to get, and mix it right into your dull coat and apply it to the car or whatever it is you're trying to do.
Well, first off, if you're using dull coat is a lacquer, and don't ever brush a lacquer. Airbrush, yes, but not paintbrush. That's the first no-no. Mixing it into a paint like that, paint pigment works best. Whatever pigment it is. But
I actually think it was AIM they were talking about.
okay, so AIM powders, and I know this because I was a distributor, but that's not why I use them only. I also use Bragdon. The thing about them, they mix with water, they mix with alcohol, they mix with turpentine, they mix with mineral spirits, they mix with lacquer thinner. Although I stay away from lacquer thinner because it attacks the plastic. If I'm
Right.
working on a brass model, I don't have a problem because the lacquer's not going to do anything but attack the paint. So you can make pastes with these things, and once they're dry, they don't necessarily mean they're going to stay in that where you put them, because the paste now doesn't have any liquid to hold it there.
Well, it was something, like I said, I either read it or watched them doing it. And back to your, what do you do on a wood model?
Mhm.
I think the best thing to do is underline.
Well, that's another way to go. But Hunter Line, like all the others, is not cheap. You get a fair amount in the bottle, but it's what, $9 a bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just bought my 10th bottle, so yeah, I know.
But it goes a long way. And I was mixing my own with leather shoe dye and things like that. But it's more inconsistent. If you've got Hunter Line, you could buy that same bottle when you need it, or it could sit on the shelf, and you will get a consistent result out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not that expensive. I mean, if it was $25 a bottle, I'd have a totally different opinion. But at $10 a pop, and at the shows, maybe even if you buy a few of them. If you buy 4 or 5 of them, you'll get a deal on them.
Yeah, he doesn't give you a discount at the shows.
So Curtis, if you want to put the powders on, and you want them to stay in place, and you don't want to have to worry about once the liquid dries, the technique I use is I buy hairspray in a pump bottle. And I dip my brush in some hairspray, then I go into the powder, and then I put it on the model where I want it. And if that's too wet, I'll go back and get some more powder and put it on the model. And by doing that, I end up with lumpy rust, or festering rust, I call it. And once that's dry, then you can dull coat over top of it, or add some more coloring to it to get variation. So that's basically what I do.
Did you tell us about airbrushing hairspray once? You put hairspray through an airbrush?
Yes.
Do you thin that with anything? Do you dilute it with water?
No. No.
Okay. That makes sense. It goes through the little pump. It ought to go through an airbrush. I mean, it's a little bit small of an orifice, but I was curious about
when I'm doing hairspray technique, right? You paint your model the rusty color you want. Seal that with a layer of semi-gloss or whatever. Come back with another or a coat of hairspray, or even a couple. And then you put your primary color on. And don't wait any longer than 20 minutes after you've done it, otherwise you won't get it off, because the paint will start to cure. The idea is to come with a wet brush and just rub it where you want the paint to break through.
But you hairspray so after you get your rust base coat,
Hairspray the whole model.
Whole thing. And then wherever if you leave paint in certain sections, when you come back and put your dull coat or finish or lacquer over top of it, of whatever kind, that'll make sure that it's not going to peel in the future. Okay.
Yep. The other technique is a salt technique, and if you're doing anything smaller than O scale, the salt technique does not truly work, although you can get it to work somewhat, but I don't like the results that I get with it at that scale. And it's basically the same thing. You put your rust color on as a base. Then once that's dry, and I put on another coat to protect it, so I don't rub through that, like a coat of clear or semi-gloss. And then I just use a pump spray of windshield washer liquid. That's from my car. My summer window wash liquid. Spray where I want to put the salt. Spray where I want to put the salt, and then just sprinkle the salt on and let it all dry. When it's dry, then you come back with your main body color. You spray right over top of the whole thing. And when that's dry, you rub off the salt, and you can even use a toothbrush to get all this salt that's underneath the paint, and you pull it off, and you end up with like a peeling paint effect from the way the sun affects it.
I've seen that, and I've seen that salt technique look really good on picture that I see. Looks great. I've seen a lot of people.
I'm
But
trying to
I
find
didn't
my.
get good results in person. I didn't get good results with salt. Even the fine stuff, like I mean, maybe if you broke it up more or something, like a mortar and pestle or something. But I didn't get personally good results. But I'm not that artistic.
Okay, I'm gonna share a picture, and you can see both the salt and the hairspray.
Well, I think I'd love the results in O scale. I think it just had a certain effect.
If you're gonna use that windshield washer fluid, make sure it is the summer blend because the winter blend is gonna have glycol in it.
It's not so much that it has glycol in it; it also has ammonia.
Well, glycol's in antifreeze, right? So it's basically the same active ingredient, antifreeze.
Yep, that's the active ingredient in antifreeze. That's what keeps it from freezing in the winter is the glycol.
Yeah.
Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
This is 1/24th scale, so this is like G scale. So the top is done with salt. The bottom's done with hairspray.
Bottom's done with salt. Top's done.
Top's done with the salt. You sprinkle it on,
Yeah.
and because it's a liquid you're sprinkling it onto, some of the salt is going to melt or
Okay.
dissolve.
So get
Pardon me.
smaller.
So you'll have this layer that you have to wash off, and that's good because it gives you more than just a grain of salt that's sitting on top of it.
See, that's what I think I got with the salt in my personal experience is a very polka dot kind of effect almost. And I even use a smaller salt, but table salt. But
Are you using table salt or rock salt?
I went outside and I went into my salt bin for the sidewalk, and I grabbed a handful of rock salt, and I came in the house and I smashed some of it with a hammer, and that's what I got. That's what I did with it. Where the hell's the bottle of salt gone? Don't know.
can't argue with those results.
So again, there's the with salt, and what I do is I normally use about three different colors of brown to simulate the rust underneath, so that when it comes off, it's not a uniform color.
Right.
Use a sponge.
I can't see it. 'Cause
I put on a solid color first, and then I come back with a sponge of other colors on top of it.
Brighter, darker. Yeah, okay. Makes sense.
All right, Eric is asking Ralph, why use salt on top and hairspray on the bottom? Why use two mediums?
Salt on the top gives you the effect of the sun beating down on the paint and baking it to the point where it starts to come off on its own. And you'll notice that you go to a junkyard, the cars have been there for a while. It's usually on the top of the surface that has the paint worn off first. The paint that's on the side, I don't want that effect. I want streaking effect. And the easiest way to get the streaking effect is with the hairspray.
Well, I'm glad to see you made it in, Don.
Yeah, crazy.
All right.
And
now,
then after I got in, my internet give me a fit.
well, there's one thing you need to do now.
Wipe that camera.
Clean the lens off on your camera so it looks like you got a 4K camera. Because you got pawpaws all over. Little round specks all over your picture.
How about now?
Yeah,
No, it's still there.
You're going to have to use a lint-free cloth.
Maybe it's the light.
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
better.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
So
So what you
the
were
aim-
talking about.
the AIM powders you can get through Walters. Eric was right. AIM sells, or Walters catalog sells Monroe and AIM. And there's a package that they have, a sample package, which gives you 4 different containers inside inside this container of 4 different colors. There's 3 versions of that you can get. This container, I think, was about $7. At the time, I got 14 of them, the 14 different colors. These things will last me a lifetime. And I've shared half of this with my son. I'll never use the whole thing, never ever.
Wow.
Unless you're like me and you dump half of it on the table.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's the other thing. If you're going to use powders like that, make sure you're wearing really old clothes.
Yeah.
Because if the powder gets on your clothes, it smears and makes the clothes look
Dingy.
really, really
It
dirty.
is paint. I mean, it's treat it like you're working with paint. So.
Yep.
Could you, speaking of, you talked about mixing it with dull coat earlier. If you mix the paint pigments with alcohol or whatever, it turns into a paste, like I have done. If it's a paint pigment, then you'd think you'd be able to hydrate it. Add whatever. And I'm curious whether it would go through an airbrush if it was hydrated.
No,
And-
I wouldn't put those through your airbrush. You're going to damage your airbrush.
And
Yeah,
Cool Tropolis also said no fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Will, I tell you what, we done hit an hour 13 here. Everybody's asking Ralph about weathering, so I just let it go.
That's fine. If you're going to do anything and you want to weather something, my first piece of advice, get a prototype photograph. It doesn't necessarily have to be the road that you want, like Reading or CSX or whatever, but a boxcar or whatever you're doing that looks the way you want your car to look, and use that as a guide.
And some cheap cars to start with.
Well,
Yeah.
to practice, yeah.
Yeah. Go to your hobby shop, buy the junk. Buy the junk.
Go to the garage sales, the flea markets, and buy up all the cheap crap. Practice on it.
Well, like my hobby shop, he's got 2 little boxes full of junk cars and engines.
There you go.
So he'll sell like pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
So.
Alrighty, well, we hit an hour 14 minutes now. So we're going to kind of wrap this one on up. Let everybody know what's going on next week. May the 7th, we got the Fine Scale Show. And then May 9, it's going to be Johnny Small Train Talk, but Big Bill is going to be hosting that one. I'll still be around. I'll do the streaming. But Bill's going to be taking every other week this month. So, y'all have a good weekend. Try and stay dry. I know we got a few storms coming around through the south and going back up north. So,
Too late. I already got drenched.
Hope everybody will stay dry. So, all right, we shall see y'all next week on May the 7th. So, y'all have a good one and talk at you later.